106.9 FM.
Minutes past you from the studios of Adabaite 8.9 FM. Good afternoon. It's another time for the round table. My name is Dimeji Daniels, and today we'll be looking at the Amotekun law that was last week passed by the Ekiti State House of Assembly. I was told moments ago on the phone by the Speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Fumidi Afia, that the law will be uniform. So that means what we have in Ekiti State will be the same thing that we have in the other state. Ogun State House of Assembly has also passed that law, that bill into law. So we'll be looking at that on the program. We'll be looking at the various provisions, various sections of this law. From what I understand, the law has 38 sections, and I've tried to go through all the sections to read, to understand what the law is trying to say. But let me welcome my studio guest. Let me begin from Barrister Moraki Ogele. You're welcome on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dimeji.
So I believe we'll be talking, since we're talking law. I'm going to be asking you so many questions. I also have with me Mr. Tosin Jagede. You're welcome on the program.
Good afternoon.
And of course, Mr. Rotimi Ogbule. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Okay. I'm going to start from the criteria for enlistment into the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps. Now, that is section 19. And it says that a person may qualify to enlist with the Amotekun Corps if the person, A, has applied in writing to the agency, has received confirmation from the divisional police officer in his local government area of residence that he or she is of proven character and integrity and has no criminal records. C, that he has been endorsed by the chairman of his or her local government area of residence or the traditional ruler of the community where such a person resides. Now, my question to Mr. Rotimi Ogbule. Now, this is a prerequisite for taking an applicant into the Amotekun Corps. Now, with what you have said, that one, an applicant must have a written application. One, it must be cleared by the DPO in the local government where it's residing, in this community where it's residing, and the traditional ruler, either the traditional ruler or the local government chairman of the local government where he is residing. Now, in the situation, would you say this is enough prerequisite to really understand the character of would-be applicant? Because you could be in a community and the KBS will not know you. You could be in a community and the DPO will not know you. You could be in the community and the local government chairman will not know anything about you.
Well, thank you very much. I want to believe that the journey of a man starts with a step. Much as I believe that the recruitment into the Corps should be something that will not be explained in a very task way, the way it is explained there, I think maybe they are trying to start from somewhere. Maybe that could be the only explanation. Because if you are enlisting some people into the major corps, which of course is going to be the first experience they are going to have, I think the recruitment is supposed to take much more requirements than what has been mentioned.
There should be psychiatric evaluation, for instance.
One, then two, the biometrics.
It is stated there.
Okay, the biometrics should be.
It is stated in the law.
Yes, that's one.
All of them will be captured with a picture and all of that.
Yes, two, apart from the traditional ruler and possibly the DPO, there should be a kind of character check mechanism that will not give room for what we normally have in a particular project of this nature. You know what politics could bring on board at times. It might be an avenue for maybe some bigwigs to offload their so-called boys into a particular arm of security unit that will relieve them of their financial burden on them. So that again should be guided against. So that is why, in a way, I'm happy that the DPO would that I think that aspect should be strengthened, where the DPO will have to personally undertake a kind of writing that this particular person in character and in conduct has no criminal record, and such a person is not known to have been associated with crime or violent behavior in the society, and as such is fit and proper to be enlisted in the corps. So if that one is enlisted there, that the personal undertaking of the DPO and an affidavit to that effect is sworn, guarantee the conduct and character of that person. I think I will appreciate that more. Maybe that should strengthen the existing law instead of just limiting it to either the DPO or the local government chairman. I think it should be the two plus this addition that I just mentioned, that the DPO, there should be a form designed for that purpose, where the DPO will do some check, will have to write and say, okay, this person is fit in character and conduct. Is not known.
He has to do investigation about the person. His findings about the person.
Yes. So that from the entry point, you are sure that the people that will make up the Amotekun Corps, they are never known or associated with criminal tendency or with violent behavior in society.
Okay, for the purpose of those who may be listening, let me quickly read to you the objectives of the agency as stated by the law. A, to gather information and share intelligence about crime in progress, suspicious activities, criminal suspect, and other criminal activities. B, to collaborate with similar security network agencies, particularly in Ogun, Lagos, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo State, to deter kidnapping, terrorism, cattle rustling, cultism, highway robbery, and other offenses, and to assist the police in apprehending such criminals. C, to protect lives and property within the state. D, to ensure that all persons traveling along the highways, major roads, remote areas, interland, forest, and inland waterways are free to participate in their normal social and economic life without fear or hindrance. And E, assist the police to carry out any other lawful activity for maintaining law and order in the state. Then quickly, the functions as well. Functions: collaborate with and assist the police and other security network agencies in gathering information about crime investigation, arrest and prosecution of persons suspected or involved in kidnapping, terrorism, cattle rustling, cultism, highway robbery, and other criminal activities. Now, what caught to my attention is section 5, because section 5 of this law talks about the functions of the Ekiti State Security Network Agency. Now, when the issue of Amotekun came up, a lot of people were scared. The expressed fears that it could be used against them. Some people said governors could hijack this and use it against their opponent. Now, section 5, subsection 1J, let me read to you. After all the functions have been stated, now 1J says, carry out such other directives as the governor may expressly give to the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps in relation to security and the maintenance of public order and safety. Barrister Gile, would you not say that this could heighten the fear of people who already have heirs? When you say such other directives as the governor may expressly give, what directives in relation to security and the maintenance of public order and safety? Who determines whether this is in relation to security and the maintenance of public order and safety? Definitely the governor.
You see, first and foremost, I must say that there is a conflict between Police Act and Civil Defense Act in respect of this law. It means that, Amotekun Corps can now arrest, police can arrest, road safety can arrest.
But when they arrest, they hand over to the police. In this case,
that is what the law says. But the operator, we don't know what they are going to do. That's the problem we have in this country. The Police Act meant well for this country, but the operators, the officers operating under the Police Act, they are messing up the whole act. Then number 2, about whether the governor can direct or not direct. Now it seems to me that they have concentrated the power, all the powers, to control Amotekun Corps within the realm of the government. Now, one thing is true, is that at least the approval or the activities of the Amotekun Corps in respect of this must be they must have checks and balances. When we have checks and balances is that when governor says this, then the assembly must confirm same. That is how these powers are distributed. But the moment now that the power to control, to determine, to do everything is much concentrated on the hand of executive. They will soon abuse it. This is the problem we have. Even though if we have checks and balances, I think this one will aid the corps to function well. Now, let me tell you something. The appointment of Inspector General is subject to the ratification of National House Assembly. Yes. Then they must have copy, or they must, buy this idea from our constitution. The much concentration of power on an executive will make the Amotekun to be abused by the executive. The only thing that section, by the time now we come over, I know lawyers will come out to challenge all these sections. One, if you want to appoint maybe the corps commandant or any principal officer, he must of all transfer or put across to that state house of assembly. They will debate on it. They will do this, they will do that. Thereafter, they will send the list back to him again. This man is competent, he's fit and proper. But now, the governor will just sit down in his office, ratify here, doing this, controlling.
There is a provision that states that involves the Attorney General of the state.
The Attorney General is still the executive, let me tell you. And let me tell you, we don't have even Attorney General nowadays, but we have lawyer to the governor. Okay. No, lawyer to the executive. In a situation whereby Attorney General, they have abandoned, their primary duties to the public. Now, what next? So about the Attorney General, we have been saying this, part and parcel of governor's office. It's an extension of governor. Do I say?
Okay, let me talk to you again. What do you think about that provision that I just read out now?
Well, that provision is first ambiguous.
Yes.
It's ambiguous because
if I want to say any other directives,
the governor can hide under that provision to use Amotekun for whatever, even for personal reasons.
As long as it determines that it's in relation to security and maintenance of law and order.
Then I also see a conflict because even the board also has that provision attached to their duties. The board also can assign, just as the governor. So there may be conflict. The board could give this directive and the governor gives another directive. So I believe the law should be explicit. Let the law state clearly what and what. And I think this is more like a president appointing the ID of police, which has always been the problem.
No, subject to the confirmation of.
Yeah, but the president is actually, that's another issue that is subject to the confirmation.
Yes.
But this one is not even subject to the confirmation of anybody.
Okay, you mentioned the board. Let me read that out. Okay, section 6 says there is establishment and composition of the State Security Network Agency Governing Board. There is established for the agency a governing board referred to in this law as the board. The board shall comprise of a chairman who shall be a person of proven integrity with experience in security matters and shall be a retired law enforcement or military officer not below the rank of a major or is equivalent in the other security services. Then the commissioner of police in the state or a representative. I'm talking about the composition of the board now. One member representing the different services of the armed forces of Nigeria operating in the state. The state commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in the state or is or a representative. The executive secretary of the State Security Trust Fund or is or a representative. One representative each of the Community Development Association drawn from the 3 senatorial zones in the state. The chairman, the Ekiti State Council of Traditional Rulers or his representative. Then the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps commander. Then the secretary. Okay, that is the composition of the board. What do you think about that? With those names I've mentioned.
Well,
the commissioner of police, the NSCDC commandant or his representative, the chairman of the council of traditional rulers, one representative each of the community development association, executive secretary of the State Security Trust Fund, or his or her representative.
I'm personally comfortable with that composition because it carries everybody along.
Okay.
So no section of the security or established security agencies.
So you're saying it can't be hijacked. With the composition,
it shouldn't be hijacked.
Okay,
it shouldn't be hijacked because I don't expect a situation where you have the traditional ruler going against the subject, because even the traditional ruler are subject of the criminal issues that we are actually trying to work against. So I think I'm comfortable with the composition. The only section of that law that I
I'm not comfortable with is it gives absolute power to the governor yet again.
What section, sir?
Absolute power. You can hire, the governor can fire, the governor can assign.
That is the
To
problem
do
of that
anything.
board. I mean, members of the board now.
Yeah,
That's the problem they have.
composition of the member of the board.
Composition.
I believe the member of the board should
He
first
appoints-
be statutory.
Yeah.
And should also go through the House of Assembly. If they are statutory, that means if a new governor comes in today, he cannot decide
He cannot remove them.
So remove
Cannot-
them.
Yes. That's
It should be statutory and it should be subject to the House of Assembly. And it should be stated that only the House of Assembly can dissolve or remove. So that we believe that those who are elected in the House of Assembly are representative of the people.
Now, it's part of the functions of the board to
You see,
appoint
you see,
people.
Where I
to
disagree with
recruit.
you,
Part of
they
their
should
function-
recommend. I mean, they should recommend the dismissal of any member to the governor. They cannot. I mean, confirm. At the same time, now remove. No.
They can recommend.
They
That's
can-
what I'm saying.
they can
But
recommend.
let the process pass through the state
Oh,
House
yes.
of Assembly.
Oh, yes.
What I have here before me, let me quickly read it to you. Part of the functions of the job of the board is one, to appoint suitable persons as members of the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps. Now, let me go to removing or deleting from the register the name of an Ekiti State Amotekun Corps member if the member is unfit to discharge the functions of the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps by reason of infirmity or misconduct, or he withdraws in writing from being a member of the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps. You are saying that they should not be able to do that without the House of Assembly?
No. The board itself.
He's talking of the board.
The board itself, not the member of the
board member.
Amotekun.
Yes.
But the board itself.
Okay.
Even the commandant of Amotekun is not even appointed by the board, according to this law.
Yeah.
He's appointed by the governor.
And it can be removed
And
if
it can be
the
removed
governor
by the
feels
governor.
that
If
he
the governor
cannot do his
feels
job.
that he cannot do his job. So it's actually the board and the commandant that is the issue. If he appoints them, he can fire them, then he can give them instructions.
Okay, let me quickly let me quickly read that to you. You're referring to section 14. The Ekiti State Amotekun Corps Commander. There shall be appointed by the governor a corps commander for the agency, who shall be a retired law enforcement officer or military officer, not below the rank of a major or its equivalent in other security services. The corps commander shall be a person with at least 10 years cognate experience in security matters. Now, quickly, let's go to where you were talking about the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps Commander shall be appointed for. Okay, the Ekiti State Corps Commander may be removed from office by the governor if the governor is satisfied that it is not in the interest of the public that it should continue
Yes,
in office.
that's an absolute power.
Yes.
It's so absolute. See, our people, they when Amotekun was, first of all advertised, I'll call it advertisement. When some people felt that, okay, this particular law should have come first before that fanfare, before the noise. So some people somewhere who understand the character of having Nigeria in power exercised their kind of fear publicly that, look, this thing could be hijacked. And now, if they are now trying to regulate the establishment, the operations and functions of this Amotekun Corps by law, then that law must not in any way suggest that the initial fear that the people had is now being confirmed. When you make the governor so powerful to the extent that he could hire and fire the Amotekun Corps commandant, he could hire and fire member of the board, and you are now saying you are giving the same power to the board to maybe initiate a kind of security unit that can make Amotekun Corps swing into action, then you are saying that the power you are giving to that board is primarily a kind of prima facie power that lacks authority. If the governor, who is the person that will appoint members of the board, is saying that what you are saying is security issue and
it's not appointing all members. Some are like the commissioner of police.
Yes, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that
he only appoints the chairman.
yes.
No, it's still going to appoint all the members. Even though you are a commissioner of police, you are inspector general,
It's as simple as
your
that.
appointment flow directly from the governor.
And if he appoints the chairman carries both the managerial and executional functions. That's the truth.
Then the secretary of the board is also a lawyer in the ministry of
Yes, not
that's what I'm saying.
level 13.
I know fully well the kind of civil service we apology in Nigeria. And every civil servant believes that he should be loyal to the government, and in this case to the governor. That is the way they roll, and that is the way the system is. So what we are saying here is that Amotekun is a very good one. At least it is for the benefit of the masses. But while we are looking at the benefit, there is supposed to be a trade-off. A trade-off in the sense that the governor must not, I repeat, must not be given all this absolute power that is embedded in this.
Let me tell you, in addition, this is not the type of law we are expecting from this Amotekun corps.
Why do you say so?
Is oppressing. Now the power has been concentrated fully in the hands of the governor. Even the House of Assembly, they have no say. They have no say again. Removal, appointment, anything at all. The law now does not permit them now to call anybody, to call any law. I mean, to call any cops for questioning. It's never a law. We still have that. There is no checks and balances in this law. This is what we have been saying. This law is meant for the executive alone.
Okay,
they can fire, like I said.
Let's quickly look at Section 25.
Yeah.
It talks about the establishment of Independent Amotekun Court Complaints Board. Now, the job of that board, the board shall be composed of 3 members, one of whom shall be the chairman, to be appointed by the governor, acting on the advice of the Attorney General. The members shall hold office for a period of 3 years and may be reappointed for one further term of 3 years. The chairman of the complaint board shall be a retired judge or magistrate. Okay, that's not where I'm talking about. Let me quickly go to. And now, the complaint board shall have the power to summon witnesses who shall be had on oath and administer an oath to any witness and to any person concerning the investigation of a complaint and require them to give evidence. Now, a summons may be served either by any person summoned as aforesaid who refuses or without sufficient cause fails to attend at the time and place mentioned in the summons, or refuses without sufficient cause to answer or to answer fully and satisfactorily to the best of his knowledge and belief all questions put to him by or with the concurrence of the complaints board, or refuses or fails without sufficient cause to produce any documents it was required to produce by or with the concurrence of the complaint board, shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 250,000 naira, or to imprisonment not exceeding 1 month, or to both such fine and imprisonment. Barrister Ogele, you are a lawyer. What do you think about this?
You see,
what place is saying is that if you're summoned and you do not show up.
With respect, let me say that section is atavistic nonsense, atavistic rubbish. Now let me tell you, by virtue of University of Maiduguri, yes, versus one student, I will still remember. Now the Supreme Court has ruled that only the court of law is competent to send any citizen of this country to prison. No other tribunal can do that. Now, by saying that, although, like I told you, we are going to challenge that section, it's oppressive, it's barbaric. Now, it's contrary to Section 36 of 1999 Constitution. By the way, when you read Section 1 of Section 3 of this 1999 Constitution, that if there is any law inconsistent with the Constitution,
the Constitution takes preeminence.
So, ab initio, that section is null and void. It's not avoid.
Okay. Still in that section, subsection 16 says, a complaint shall not be entertained unless it is made no later than 12 months, that is 1 year, from the day on which the complainant first had knowledge of the matters complained about. That means there's a period for which you can
limitation.
A statute of limitation. Now it now says it adds to this that provided that a complaints board may conduct an inquiry in respect of a complaint not made within that period, if it considers that there are special circumstances which make it proper to do so. Now that means the job of the board to determine whether there are special circumstances or not.
That can now create an exception to that limitation.
Yes.
Now let me tell you this: even by law, when it concerns or touches fundamental human rights, there is no limitation law about that.
It should not be statute bar.
There is no statute bar. If your right is infringed this year, and maybe 10 years to come or 20 years to come, the law says that you can, ask, you can go to court
Seek redress.
You can seek redress anytime, any day. So this is what I'm saying. This that law again is contrary to. So it means that is the board that will now determine my right, either to go within a year or after a year. I think that, you see, let me tell you something. Members of the House of Assembly, with due regard to them, they have not done anything in respect of this law. Yeah. Maybe they did not even read it before sending it back to the executive.
They had a public hearing.
It's possible.
How many days?
For how many days?
Public hearing of 1 hour.
For how many days? Of 1 hour. There is just to do it, just to conform with the constitution. Assuming Mama Eleko goes there to suggest something, his presence is not. Is he going to be recognized? No, it's just for forum. But let me tell you, all this law ought to be taken back to the House of Assembly again and scrutinized after section. I see no reason why a board should now determine your right when you are to sue. When you are to complain or not. All this change is highly oppressive. It's even barbaric.
Okay, moments ago, I spoke on the phone with the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Fumini Afia. Let's quickly listen to him.
I have the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Fumini Afia, on the line. Okay, what we see in the provisions of the Amotekun law, are the provisions going to be similar to what we have in other states?
It's a uniform thing.
Okay, it is uniform.
What operates in Ekiti operates in the other 5 states. So, and that's why it is called Western Nigeria Security Network Law. And in any case, we are operating as states. There is no region in the Constitution any longer. So we are operating, domesticating the law in each state. However, there are areas where we can collaborate because of the contiguity of geography.
I look at Section 5, subsection 1J. When the issue of Amotekun came up, there are some sections of the public who were kind of scared that Amotekun could be hijacked by state governors against their opponents. Now, I look at Section 5, subsection 1J, and it says that it talks about the functions of Amotekun. 1J particularly says that any other duties or functions that the governor may approve for them. Now, would you not say that could, for those who already have fears, that could heighten their fears? That who determines what is in relation to security or maintenance of law and order, when it's clear in that provision that it seems that the governor is the one who's going to make that determination?
This law is not a law for frivolity. It is a presumptive law meant to protect the lives and property of our people. You are all aware of the debacle of militancy, brigandage, invasion, kidnapping, all sorts of negative things that we never witnessed. That is the purpose of this law. It's not for any it's not meant for any political end. And of course, our people are fastidious enough. They are informed enough that no governor, no constituted power somewhere or anybody that can misuse the law for self-aggrandizement. If you look at the law, there are checks within the law that nobody can be excessive in the operation of the law. So it's just an anxiety that leads to nothing. The law itself is self-adjusting. So I want to allay the fears of people who think some people can use it for what. Then the whole essence will be defeated if some individuals or whoever want to use it for a selfish end, and the whole purpose will have been defeated. And we cannot afford that. That much I can assure you and the general public. And the protagonists of the view that the Amotekun is going to be used for personal ends.
One of the provisions I saw there is the provision for the establishment of a public complaints board, which will be attending to complaints from members of the public. There's a provision that says that anybody who is summoned by the board and does not appear and is not able to give any reason would be fined 250,000 or 1 month imprisonment. Should people not have the right to say, okay, I will appear, I will not appear? Right, Honorable Afuye?
There is even in law, even if the court to pin you and you don't attend, there is punishment for it. So any law that does not provide for punishment for disobedience of its process, it's not worth the law. So it's normal to put such clause inside the law. It's not a toothless book. We don't intend to make it a toothless bulldog, but we're not at the same time meant to punish anybody unjustly.
Okay. What about the provisions that says any complaint that is more than 1 year after the complainant is aware of the matter will not be entertained by the Public Complaint Board?
Well, I don't readily have that law before me now.
Okay.
However, I have told you all the law. I mean, the provisions of the law are pro-coup, and the people, the focus of that law is to protect our lives and limbs, the property of our people. At the moment, our forests have been overtaken by people we don't know. There is food insecurity looming, that people cannot go to the farm, and the farm remains the bastion of the economy of the state and indeed Nigeria. So some people cannot use their economic pursuit to disturb or prevent others from using their legitimate land to pursue their own economic ends. So we must understand the moral and the jurisprudence of this law. The law is meant to protect our people. We are not interested in, and in any case, if laws are not abused, there will be no court. The criminals will go unchallenged. So let whoever wants to break the law break it. Then the consequences are waiting in the wings.
Okay, right, Honorable Speaker. On a final note, people were expecting that the governor was going to assent to the bill on Friday, but that was not done. When should the people of Ekiti State be expecting that? Or let me ask first: have you handed it over to the governor?
Well, Dimeji, the timing of signing the law is a part of the process. I don't think people should be in a hurry or be worried whether there is a time to sign the law. The House of Assembly or the houses of assembly in Western region will pass the bill into law, and the time is signed. It's not no significant. What you want is that our people are protected. Simple.
But have you transmitted it to the Ekiti State governor?
What I'm saying is, you're still repeating your question. We have done our bit. There are internal mechanisms. We have to. I mean, when a law is amended or passed at the floor of the House, it still requires some final touches within the legislature before you can even transmit it to the legislature. I mean, to the executive. And if you don't do that, it means you can be playing with the fire in the sense that the law will not be complete if it's not properly. If we don't have a clean copy. All over the world, go to the legislature. It's not as if you are recording in the House and that you now send that rough copy to the executive. Everything is still going to be put together.
I understand that.
So people should not be in a hurry. This issue has been with us for a while. People should be commending the initiative of our government and governors that these steps are taken. And in any case, everybody is, waiting in the wings to see that all these laws are implemented. And all this has been expressed variously. And if you had come to witness the debate on the floor of the House, you will see that people are informed. Indeed, the public hearing held subsequent to that second reading, you marvel that our people from various sectors of political interest, economic interest, people have civil society organizations, professional bodies, they came in their large numbers and of course, it's a talk. I mean, it gives us this thing that people want this thing, and we are working along with the people. With the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Okay, thank you, Right Honorable Fumini Afuye, Speaker of the State House of Assembly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dimeji.
Okay, 21 minutes before 3 from the studios of Kadapai 8.9 FM. That was the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Fumini Afuye. Okay, you listen to the Speaker. What do you make of his position? You listened to him.
Yes, I did. What I make of his position is just an attempt to defend what they did, which I don't expect him to say otherwise. But my personal opinion is I don't think the House of Assembly did a thorough job. I don't think they looked at the law critically, because I'm not sure if I'm the Speaker of the House of Assembly, I want to pass a law like that the only interaction I have with that law is when I pass it. At the moment the law goes out, I will take the House of Assembly completely out of the picture. Then the House of Assembly does not have anything to do with how people are appointed. You don't have anything to do with the board. You don't have anything to do with anything.
That representative function,
yes,
that is conferred on the House. That law will take it away.
The next day they now come and say, okay, we want to review the law. That is the next time the House has anything to do.
He said the law has not been transmitted to the governor, and they were still working on it.
Maybe so
that's
okay. Let's look at funding. Let's look at funding for the Amotekun Corps. Section 30 says the funds and resources of the agency shall consist of subventions from the state, gifts and donations from individuals and corporate bodies, and any other money or property which may in any way become payable or vested in the agency. Then section 31 says the agency may accept money, grants, gifts, endowment, donations, and testamentary dispositions or other property in aid of its objectives on the condition that such are not inconsistent with its functions, policies, and objectives. What do you make of that?
It's nonsense. Let me tell you why I say
how would you say that?
It's nonsense. See, there are some establishments in Nigeria that as a procurement officer, you cannot take gratification.
Oh, yeah.
Once you do, you are fired. It's as worse as
this is gradually they're talking about gifts for the year. Is not.
I said in any form, either gift, gratification,
donation. What about donations?
You cannot get it as a person if you are a procurement officer. If you now have an organization that is so disciplined to that extent, we are talking of a security outfit that will be in charge of security of life and property, and by implication across the southwest. You are now, of course, they are envisaging the major problem that the National Police Force has,
which is funding.
Is majorly funding. They don't have enough strength because of funding. They don't have vehicles. They don't have security equipment. They don't have telecommunication equipment. They don't have enough vehicles that can have telecommunication gadgets. That at every 20 meters, you are supposed to see 2 or 4 police officers on patrol with all their communication gadgets and paraphernalia. We don't have that. That's how to police. A country. That's how to police a state. That's how to police a neighborhood. If we are now bringing solution on board that will take us further from where we are, you should not bring into this particular heart an avenue that will make some people who would want to hijack the voice or the security power of that particular organization. You should not make them to be the major financier or in any way. There's a way. See, there's a way. All these things compromised performance, compromised output. So they shouldn't have left it open that way. Whosoever, they can have a Amotekun endowment fund. That Amotekun endowment fund should be a creation of the law. The State House of Assembly or whosoever or whichever body should be in charge of that. If whoso wish, go and donate money to the endowment fund, which should be outside of the purview of what they are putting there. It should not be part of the funding mechanism of this particular. See, we like he said, I want to believe that the members of the State House of Assembly are still working on this law. They are still reading it. They are perhaps not been able to exhaust their reading time. So we give them more time to read and digest and understand what is contained. They are not a lawyer.
Maybe majority of them will be listening to us now.
Okay, let me turn to Mr. Jegede. With what you've seen, with the state of economy of most of the states, do you think they will be able to fund this effectively?
I believe they can fund.
Because I look at the functions, they will do patrol, highway patrol, go into the forest and all of that, both night and day. Do you think they will be able to fund it?
Now, I believe
salaries will be involved, running costs will be involved.
Yeah, like he said, first, instead of giving the cabinet gifts, have an endowment fund where anybody can contribute to. That's number one. Then number two, let all the state governors collapse their security votes. That vote that is not audited, let them collapse it. It's a good place to start. It's a good place to start. 250 million naira monthly.
How would you know?
So Amotekun in a state.
How would you know?
No, I'm just suggesting. I'm just suggesting. Let's say 200 cases, it could be more. It could be more.
But you would not know. You would not know. You would not know.
Yes, we have government that takes 200 million.
You would not know. These figures are just being bandied around.
I know it could be more.
Yes, I think I subscribe to that. You see, the moment I heard that Amotekun, I say yes, we thank God. So all these security votes now, actually will be diverted to this Amotekun. Look, if they are to be honest, we mean the governors, they can fund Amotekun through their security votes.
Okay.
I have seen the state earning 700 million, 600 million, 800 million. And mind you, anytime an important person is coming to their state, they jack it up, and that is the system. So if I'm just saying this, I don't know how much. If my governor is now earning 300 million as security vote, if we can divert 250 million to Amotekun project, I think that one will be okay.
It's a good place to start.
Yes, that's a speculation. You will not know.
Whatever the amount,
to be holding cap, to be begging from individual. It means that they are high.
The law does not say they have to beg.
No, it's from individual.
Gift and donation.
It will now permit corruption from individual. It will now permit.
It can be voluntary.
It will now permit corruption again here and there. A board may go there, but any member of board may go to anybody. We are looking for fund here and there again. So I think that section should be removed.
To be expunged.
And to be replaced by the justice. Suggestion.
Okay, now a lot of people, when this you say advertisement, but I wouldn't call it that. When the issue of Amotekun came up, a lot of people were excited because they felt Amotekun would bear arms and that they'll be able to police the forest, police the highways, and all of that. Now, but this law says that they cannot bear arms unless the Inspector General of Police approves that. What do you think, Mr. Jegede?
That is another thing.
What do you think?
Individual can apply.
Bryce Ogilliam comes to you. What do you think?
That's actually by law. Anybody can apply to the IG.
Yes.
To carry arms.
But this is not anybody now.
This is
organized crime.
This is security code. Yeah, organized
in the actual sense where everybody is interested in security. If the IG can approve for one man to carry arm, I don't think it should be difficult for the IG to approve arms carrying for an organization that is backed up by law. However, we know the opposition to this, and we know that the IG may just decide to put the file under his table for as long as possible. I will not attend to it.
But that's speculative.
It's speculative. If, looking at it on the surface, because there is a law, these people that will bear the arm, the law says you have their biometrics, they are traceable, they can be identified.
They will have name tags. They will have name tags. They will have uniforms.
The police also has given them.
They have identification numbers
that they don't have criminal records.
Yes.
By the DPO who has cleared them that they don't have criminal record, and they are known to the communities. They are known. So that should be a good grant for the IG to approve for them to carry arms. That's looking at it literally without
Okay, Bryce Ogele, I'm kind of confused here. Please, you're the lawyer, educate me. Section 34 says, any member of the board, staff of the agency, or member of the Ekiti State Amotekun Corps is hereby excluded from liability and shall not be sued in his or her personal capacity for any lawful act done in the course of the duty. Who determines whether the act done is lawful or not?
Well, let me tell you, there are two terms we use.
Okay.
It's either you frolic or you detour.
Okay.
Now go and arrest Morake Ogele. By the time now you go elsewhere to go and arrest my brother there you have detoured.
Or you are arrested in the course of...
what I'm saying, go and arrest Morake Ogele.
Okay.
It's quite different from my colleague there.
Okay.
If they now go to that, my friend, to go and arrest him, they have detoured. So the board should not be found, liable for what he has done. But when in the course of that Amotekun's duty you are performing, I think you'll be exonerated. But let me tell you, that might be exonerated, but the government, that's what we call vicarious liability. Vicarious liability. Now, government...
If I feel that they come to arrest me and I feel emotionally, it does not have to be even physically, emotionally harassed, can I not sue?
Yeah, you sue the government.
Okay, not the board now.
No, not the board.
I sue the government.
It's as if you are suing...
Which was in a place.
It's as if, a sergeant police come to my house, arrest me and do everything. If I want to sue police, I will join commissioner of police. I will not join his name. That sergeant. So, because he's on his duty and is an agent of commissioner of police. So, if you want to sue that, you can't sue the board. Although you may join, some lawyers may join the board. Just, as a nominal party there. But those who are the principal, who is the principal of Amotekun is the government. You just join governor of Ekiti State and attorney general, that's all.
Okay, let's look at section 35. A suit shall not commence against the agency unless 30 days written notice of intention to commence an action.
We call it pre-auction notice.
Okay.
And that pre-auction notice is dying now gradually. Is dying. It's even against the constitution. It's against section 6 of section 6A of our constitution. So that pre-auction notice now is they are burning gradually. And look, let me tell you, lawyers are going to challenge this one again because there is no constraint. There's nothing that can disturb you from exercise your fundamental rights. Your fundamental right has been incorporated to section 6 of this constitution. So the issue of precaution is an old... it's an old thing.
People must give them a notice of intent. 30 days.
Yeah, it may be there. But, gradually it is fading away. Although, within the higher institution, like Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, Ado Ekiti University, and so on like that, we have pre-auction notice that unless... sometimes it is helpful that if you put up your complaint, they may call you and call the accused to settle the matter, maybe to compensate you. That is why that they don't want anybody to embarrass them. It's still within the line. It's still within the jurisprudence of Nigeria civil litigation. So, serving 30 days is 30 days of precaution. Is it not 30 days? That by the end of 30 days of this notice, I'm taking you to court. Then you keep the copy. So we call it pre-auction, which is legal or which is lawful. But like I told you, it's now gradually fading away from our legal system. Okay, now
the Speaker of the State House of Assembly said that this law will be uniform. That means that all the other states in the Southwest will pass the same law.
We have known this. It's going to be uniform. I'm telling you. It's as if...
Well, you have pointed out a lot of things that you feel...
First and foremost, they came together, I think, 3 weeks ago. When they held their meeting...
More than 3 weeks.
More than 3 weeks. So, I think by that... from that meeting, they drafted this law. They came together, put it together, discussed it together, do everything together.
Both patrol vehicles first,
yes.
Before they now resort to drafting of law.
It should be uniform. And let me tell you, there are uniform. We are having uniform law nowadays. We saw uniform high court rules, uniform this, uniform that. If you're looking at this, look at the Freedom of Information Act that the state now, I'm making is just a replica of Freedom of Information Act. So to be uniform, I think it'll be okay. In fact, it'll be so very easy.
Okay, because of our time, Mr. Tosi, what would you have loved to see in this law that is not there?
what I would have loved to see in this law
That would have prevented it from being turned into a tool for abuse.
Yes, I would have loved a situation where the
Checks and balances.
House of Assembly checks and balances.
yes,
Where the House of Assembly
Will be more
is
involved.
more involved.
Are more pronounced.
More pronounced,
in
yes.
their involvement.
In their involvement, yes.
So that
But if you look at most state houses of assembly, the governors, there has always been the allegation that
for today.
The major we have been saying.
No, why
We have been saying
we are
this.
saying, well, Mr. Ogele, why we are saying this is this. Of course, you may have a sitting governor who is a polished academic, who speaks good grammar, who is English, who is a
Who is
gentleman,
decent.
who is decent. If you give this to him, he probably may not abuse it. If you give this to him, he probably may not abuse it.
This is a power.
No, I'm coming. I said he probably may not abuse it, but it is a common belief that power without check is a disaster waiting to manifest.
Yes.
If you check the profile of our governors in Nigeria, all of them, whenever their election is threatened, maybe they have lost first election, and second election they discover that they are going to lose majority of the House of Assembly members, the only available option to them is to go and look for huge amount of money to buy vote and install the House of Assembly members. If they have other option like using Amotekun to remove their opponent, they will use it.
There you are.
So if a governor could descend to the arena of looking for a huge amount of money to buy vote for his House of Assembly members, such a governor can derange in a moment of desperation to the arena of using Amotekun to wound his opponents. That's why we are saying, let us have a law there that will limit his involvement, restrict his power, and cage him sort of in such a way that even in a moment of rage, he will not go out of his way when Basak to use Amotekun against the system and cause chaos. And when chaos is caused by the people in power, it becomes a societal issue.
Even
And none of us will be.
Okay, because of our time. Now, when all is said and done, the members of the public will be at the receiving end of this. What is your advice to members of the public, Mr. Tosin Jegede?
we should speak up, just like we are doing here. You know, it's becoming clear that the people has some sort of power when we decide to use it. Amotekun is one of it.
Yeah.
It was about to be killed, but the people stood up. So people should look at this law and start to speak about it. We are not against Amotekun, but we want a law that will ensure that this Amotekun does not become another Nigerian police.
That the governors do not become too powerful.
They don't have to become too powerful. The people, the power belongs to the people. We gave them the power, a fraction of it to use. That fraction should not be enlarged. So let's have the House of Assembly playing a major role within the appointment of the board, appointed of the commandant general or whatever, so that at the end of the day, the governor, even if he feels the need, he knows that something is constraining
There
him.
are checks.
Yes, we will thank God. That's what we are doing this afternoon. You are to educate the masses in respect of this law. You know, we have done a lot this afternoon now. The weaknesses, the good ones, the bad ones. So I think we should continue in that mood. Let media, how the broadcasting houses, the papers analyze this in Yoruba, in everything. Because you will recall that we are having, mass illiterate society. So everything should be done to enlighten our people. How this law runs, how it goes, how is that, That is what we can do to enlighten the society through what we are doing now.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is fast spent. Let me thank Mr. Rotimi Ogleye for coming. Thank you very much for coming to the
It's my
roundtable.
pleasure. I love the program.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tosin Jegede, for coming to the roundtable. I'm Barrister Moraki Ogleye.
I subscribe to him. I love the program.
Thank you very much. My name is Dimeji Daniels, and next Monday is another time on the roundtable. Thank you and good afternoon.
8.9 FM.